Well, hello everyone. It's very good to be here, and thank George for the introduction of me as the new VP of Engineering for Linaro. It's a very exciting position, very exciting time to be at the company. I have something called the survival guide. This is actually going to be in two parts. One is the more practical part of the survival is going to be with Joe Bates in a few minutes. So I promise not to keep you very long. So there's some breaking news from our friends at Yahoo. It turns out that you have to work at home. So we thought about this at the Linaro management meeting and decided that we needed to think about this policy and decide, how we were going to go after this. And it turns out, so we have a new policy effective today. All Linaro employees and assignees must work on the same planet. Of course, this has to be reviewed when we colonize Mars. Hopefully that will be a while. Obviously, Linaro and many others, the Linux kernel community as a whole, has proven this is kind of wrong-headed thinking. So, however, working remotely does have its challenges. You may have a tendency to forget a few important things. Basically, don't be If you guys haven't seen this video, you've got to go Google it later. It's awesome. So this is what happens if you've worked in your house too long and you forget. So the story goes, he has to find his way down to the lobby, and when he gets down to the lobby, he's got to show his license, which he doesn't have. It's hilarious. So I think, as George described, and there's a whirlwind of change that's happening. This is with Linaro and just around the whole community that we're involved with. It's a tremendous change and innovation, both in the hardware and software side of things. With this great change comes great opportunity, and I think that's one of the reasons we're here today. And I want to talk about, for just a few minutes, kind of how we actually take advantage of the fact that we're here and how we move forward together. It's a perfect storm of technologies, companies, and people. And so, again, we have this opportunity to kind of work together in a way that is unique, I think. I mean, there are other communities and other groups that do this, but I think Linaro has come up with a special formula. And so we need to be storm chasers. We need to be going after this in a big way. I think, as John said, we have to basically become the drivers of the embedded space and the kernel itself. And we do have to follow John's best practices. And I think we're learning. We are going through that changing state. So the challenge and opportunities, I think George touched on this, and I don't want to go into great detail here. In fact, the slides are really cool, or the graphs are really cool, but I actually don't know what they mean. There's lots of chips, there's lots of power being consumed, and in the past it was about power consumption in the mobile devices. But that's no longer the case. There's so many servers in the world that there's a big and huge hit on country power supplies. And so you have to have more power and so on and so forth. So one of the key interesting things that's happening is these two things are coming together. There's more and more data happening in mobile devices, and we need more and more cloud services, we need more and more servers, and that's taking more power. So there's this opportunity that's driving a lot of changes that need to be done. And I think we're here at the forefront of that, and other companies, of course. So I want to talk about the power of AND. So my thought for you guys this week, and for all of us, is how do we work together? And so let's think about this in a few areas. So obviously Linux and ARM, this has already been happening. 32 and 64-bit, ARM v7 and ARM v8, as George said earlier. Big and little, this is a new processing environment, heterogeneous multiprocessing. It's very important. It's driving changes that need to make it into the scheduler. Performance and lower power. And this goes back to the previous diagram, which basically says we need more performance, and we need to do that at lower power points to basically be able to handle the demands. Throughput and determinism. One of the things that we need to do in the Linaro networking group is to figure out how to put real time into an environment that can handle networking infrastructure equipment. Linux and the community, Linaro and the community. So these two work together, and I think we need to work better, as John said. Employees and assignees. We come together from a different environment, and we need to figure out how to work together well. I think that's happened really, it's been a really good thing in Linaro over the last 2 years. I think we're learning about how to do that better, and so that's part of our process. Core engineering in groups. So Linaro was founded around core engineering and some of the key improvements we needed to do. As we've added groups, that adds some new complexity to the environment we have, and how those two groups are going to work together, how we share requirements. Virtualization is an example that needs to spread across the groups and core engineering. And so how do we do that? How do we do that effectively? Member services and engineering. So within Linaro, because we have members, we do some work for them, and we have to figure out how to share what's being done there with the core engineering group and back and forth. So there's this coming together. The nice thing about AND is it keeps working. You can actually keep going. It doesn't have to be two things. So there's the Linaro values, which are openness, upstream, collaboration, integrity, and excellence. These are things that we have to keep in mind. And the big and is all of the companies together today that represent Linaro, and there's a couple, as George mentioned, that aren't yet public, but they're on that list as well. This is a huge endeavor, and how we work together is really an interesting study in how we get things done. So, combining forces, figuring out how we do requirements. What's happening now in Linaro is this how we get requirements for our members and how we drive that process and change and how we monitor. That's actually requiring Linaro to step up in our processes and still do this in the open and track things. So the encouragement for this week is to think about and how we work together. This Connect, like all others, is about the and all of us working together. Take time to enjoy this event and the people you work with. This is an opportunity as we come together for these few weeks in the year where we're actually face-to-face to look around and see some of the talented people that are here, and you get a chance to actually converse with them. Yes, those things happen on IRC and email and other mechanisms, but when you do it face-to-face, I think we've all found before that you get an enrichment from that process. So remember to do that in both the hacking sessions and some of the sessions you're in, and the evening entertainment events. Remember, talented people make great things happen. And this room is full of talented people. And we expect great things to be happening moving forward. Buckle up, we're accelerating. As George said, there's just lots of stuff coming. There's new areas that we're looking into, and this is just going to keep going. It's a great time to be here.